Hi everyone, welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. I am Laura Rogers, I'm Microsoft MVP, and this is my team at Rackspace Hosting. We do this SharePoint Power Hour free live every Wednesday at 11 Central and talk about topics around SharePoint and Office 365 that are business solutions. So we stretch SharePoint as far as we can out of the box using all of its awesome out-of-the-box functionalities, and so this is what SharePoint Power is about. We have topics like workflows, forms, BI, governance, user interface, web parts, just all kinds of topics like that. We don't delve into necessarily custom code, or if we do, it's not very often, or we don't get to hardcore server admin stuff. So again, we do this every week, and I'm going to go ahead and let my team and all go through and introduce themselves, and then I'll go ahead and get started with today's demo, which is going to be creating an event sign-up site in SharePoint or Office 365. So let's see, Ryan, Joelle, Stephen, and Tavis.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or maybe even good evening, everybody, depending on where you're watching from. I'm Ryan Keller. I have been working with SharePoint since about the year 2007, the version 2013. Been a consultant since 2009, and have focused on branding SharePoint since about 2011 or 2012, somewhere in there. And next week I hope to do a presentation on getting started with branding, kind of, the process for kind of ramping up and actually getting into SharePoint Designer and turning a mock-up into an actual working SharePoint site. So we'll kind of start that process next week, so tune in for that.
Joelle?
Oh, sorry. I forgot it was next.
Multitasking again.
No, never. All right, so I am Joelle Farley. I am obviously also on this team. If you're watching for the first time, I have worked with SharePoint since SharePoint 2007 was released, and a lot of my focus is what Laura mentioned: workflows, out-of-the-box features, also infrastructure planning and information architecture planning as well. I do a lot of that stuff. I like making sure that SharePoint, when you launch SharePoint, that it is ready to go and it's going to be the best experience you can possibly have with it. That's my goal always. Doesn't always work out, but that's usually my goal.
Hi, I'm Stephen Wilson. I've been working with SharePoint as a consultant for about 7 years now. I did some minor stuff with it before that. I mostly focus on infrastructure and installation, configuration, troubleshooting of problems, but I also do some information architecture work, and lately I've been trying to develop more in the search area.
Hello everyone, my name is Tavis Lovell, and I am the local BI development guy. I've been working with business intelligence on the Microsoft stack since about 2005-ish, I think, and we've really focused pretty much exclusively on business intelligence with Microsoft. So things like Performance Point, Power Pivot, reporting services, analysis services, all that good stuff. And right now I'm trying to fight the good fight against Kerberos and get my environment configured.
All right, sounds good. Let's see. So we had people request, and we asked for you guys, the viewers, your opinion on what we should talk about in here. A couple of people requested having an event sign-up site because it's just one of those common things people like to do in SharePoint. I created a demo of just a way to do that in SharePoint using workflows, and my goal was to get the most simple solution to build without doing a bunch of crazy stuff and customizations. I was trying to avoid InfoPath, so this is kind of like the least common denominator of an easy way to get this accomplished, and then from there anything else making it look pretty would be just kind of a bonus, I guess. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, by the way, don't forget to ask questions as I go we have a little Q&A app, so if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to have a link right on the YouTube video that says to go to the Q&A app, and that's going to it's going to show us little real-time questions, and we're going to be able to, it'll kind of keep track of whichever ones we're answering, etc. So feel free to chime in. That's the whole reason we have it live, so we can get your feedback and questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop now and rearrange stuff a little bit. Let's see. Where'd it go? Okay, screen 1. I gotta make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. Okay, so I can see what you're seeing now, I believe. I'll go ahead and get my site pulled up. And I have, as I'm doing this, I log in as different users as I go to be able to test different things. So, all right, so here is what our registration site looks like. And I'm going to show you what it does real quick, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. And hopefully I didn't break it just now when I was tweaking some things. So I'm going to go ahead and go click on an event, and then that just takes me to the form here of the event itself. It shows me people that are currently registered for it, and it lets me sign up, and it lets me sign up someone else. So I made this so that sign up someone else only shows for certain people. Not everyone in the company is going to be able to sign up someone else. So those are just kind of a couple of different ways we could go about it. So I'm just going to click to sign up for this event, and then a workflow runs, and it's going to add that event to my list of things that I'm registered for magically at some point. So let me show you what I did, because I've been kind of playing with this as I go, because I found a lot. What I did was I created this and it worked fine, and then it immediately would show me my registrations as I did it. But then the problem ended up happening when I would log in as different people, because I started setting up the security here, and what happened was, if I'm logged in as me, I have full control. I'm a site collection admin. I can do anything I want. The workflow I created was working fine. But then when I set up a bunch of permissions, it ended up having some issues. So what I would like the way I would like it to work is that I would like everybody in the company to just have read access at the site level here, and then be able to go in here and sign up for something, and not necessarily be able to edit the event, but be able to just click to sign up for the event, which would add an item to this list over here called registrations. So there's a lookup between from the registrations to the events. So I started off just the most simple, least common denominator by just creating a workflow that when they click sign up, it simply creates an item over here in my registrations, and that's all it does. So the second, let me show you what that does real quick over in my workflow and get SharePoint Designer pulled up. And I'll have to look into it in a second as to why it didn't do it, but let me see. It's probably just because I was messing with it right before this started, as usual.
Now, I missed a little of what you said about the permissions. Can this work for anonymous users?
No way.
No way. Okay.
So what I discovered is that, and I'm gonna go through this just how it works just fine, and then kind of talk about what I discovered. But basically, I had to do a whole bunch of tests. Spent several hours last night doing a whole bunch of testing with different scenarios and different users to figure out why the workflow wasn't working every now and then. So what it ended up being was that I had to put people, they had to have at least contribute access at the site level, or they would not even be able to see the list of workflows, like, be able to click an event and see any workflows here. Like this would give them a big error. So I did that. You had to give them contribute access just to be able to see that, and then you had to be able to give them contribute access. Now this isn't new to 2013, but you had to be able to give them contribute access to the event itself just to be able to run a workflow on it. So let me go real quick, and I ended up I ended up finding a couple of ways around this. Let me do something real quick with this, approve reject items, before I move on to opening the workflow. All right, so this is something I just added. Let me go ahead and approve that. And then I'll show you why I put the approve reject stuff on here. Okay. All right, so this is code. So super simple, least common denominator. First thing I did in the workflow was I simply allow it to be manually started, and I just put this item in here, create item in registrations. So all it's doing is creating an item with this is the important part, is that you have an event lookup, which lets it point back to this event that it's associated with. And within that lookup field, I actually made it bring over a couple of other columns, like the start and end date and things like that. And then registrant here, what I did was I made it say whoever the initiator of the workflow is, because I didn't necessarily want people to have to be editing the event, but so I just put whoever's initiating the workflow, whoever's clicking the sign up button, that would be who it would put as the registrant. So this is the workflow that that doesn't allow you to pick someone else. It's just basically I'm going to register myself. And then what I did here is just in the title, we're not really using the title field, but I just made it so that it was going to be unique for that particular event and that person signed up for the event. So I just concatenated together the ID of whatever the current item is with just whoever the created by person is in the item. Now, probably instead of using created by, because and it's not necessarily going to be the same person that created this item, it would probably need to be what? The initiator, right? Because just we kind of want it to match. The title field is not super important, but it's going to at least visually display the name of the person that's signing themselves up. So where do we get that initiator item? That's going to be inside of workflow context. In our workflow context data source, we have initiator, and that's the person who triggered the workflow. So we can concatenate those two fields together. So I've got the title, I've got the registrant, and I've got the ID. Okay, so it creates the item, and then it says registration added. And then so the next thing I did was, well, what if the person already registered? Then it would just keep letting them register over and over, and then the same person would be registered several times. So that's kind of something that you'd have to account for too. So this is where the title field is going to come into play. So what I'm doing is I'm going to say whenever they kick off this workflow, it's going to immediately set a variable. It's going to concatenate together the ID of this event, which is always unique, with whoever that initiator person is. And it's just going to log it so I can see what it looks like. And then it's going to say, basically, does this same string exist already over in that list, over in the registration list? Does that title anywhere in the registration list exist that is the same as this unique event and this person's name? So that would tell me if this person had registered for this event, right? Y'all following me? So that's just my little kind of tricky way of going to find. I've got like 2 different fields I need to search for, I need to match up with. So typically when you're trying to match something up over in another list, it only gives you 1 field. But since it only gives me 1 field, I just figured I would concatenate together 2 different fields into 1 field so that I could look at those to make sure it's unique. Interesting little trick? Okay. Y'all let me know if that doesn't make any sense, especially you guys in the chat window. 20 viewers, wow, that's a lot. Okay, so that's how I'm finding out if that person is registered yet, and then I'm going to log the person already registered for this one, if they already registered. And then if they haven't, I'm going to go ahead and create that list item, like I said. So that was the first thing that I had to account for. Another thing that I'm going to have to add in here is people might want to have a max number of registrants. So I have to add that logic in as well so that when people create a new event, I need to give them a box to type in what's the maximum number of people that can be registered for this, and then I have to be able to count those items up. So that's another thing that I have to remember to account for. So, but the most simple thing, the first thing that I did was I just did this create list item. All right, so I'm going to publish that. And then what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go make sure that I don't have any kind of workflows running, because when I was testing it a few minutes ago, workflows running that had errored out or anything like that on here. Okay, so that one's good. Testing event. Okay, so that one's good. All right, so I'm going to try this one more time with this one. I'm going to sign up for, go back home, and I'm going to sign up for this team meeting here. Let's see if I can do that. Sign up, and then I'll show you, look at that, awesome. And then I'll show you what the interface is going to look like for somebody that, that you're signing up another person. I'm going to click Team Meeting. I'm going to click Workflows. I'm going to click Sign Up so I can see if it was just, it might have just been the button that I clicked. It might have just not liked that drop-down box. That's one thing that I noticed as well, is that when I had pop-ups, when I had the modal dialog box enabled for this list, you know, to where the item would pop up like in front of the list you're looking at, the workflows would always error out. So that was another just sort of gotcha that I came across with that. See, it went ahead and added me, but I think it was because the first time I clicked it, I clicked the drop down, and the second time I clicked it, I actually went into the item and clicked it. So I think that that makes a big difference. Let me go to Weekend Fun and click Sign Up, and I put this little, this is a little setting in your web part settings called the little asynchronous setting that lets you put a little manual refresh button on there. So I added that as well. I have to just go see where that one went to. Okay, so let me show you this other interface though. So I'm logged in as me, and I'm going to go see if I can register Joelle for this other one here. So I'm going to go to Testing Event, go sign up someone else. I think I have you in my, yep, there you are. So this is an initiation form. So this is just another workflow that gives them an initiation form to put someone else's name in there, and then they click Start to start the workflow. So that's all that is. All right, so now which event was that? Weekend Fun, I think? No. I got to pay attention to which ones I'm doing. Good thing I only have a couple of them in here. There it is. So I click on Testing Event, and I can now see that Joelle's in there, and I registered for her. And now when she goes to the home page, she's going to see that event under My Registrations. So again, let me go to the registration. I'll go to the event list, and I'll go to the registration list and kind of show you what is involved here. So this is kind of a big, ugly view of it, but this is the registration list. But it's a pretty simple list of fields we have. We have just event lookup, which is a lookup field, and with the lookup field I had it also bring across the start time, end time, and ID, and cascade delete. So if I deleted the event, it would also delete all the registrations associated with it. And then I have registrant, which is that person name. So if someone clicks the sign up workflow where they're signing themselves up, I'm just going to put that initiator's name in the registrant. But if they're doing sign up someone else, I'm going to take that initiation form parameter and put that in the registrant field. And so that's pretty much it. And then the title is just the out-of-the-box title field. And then the trick is on the home page, I have a filter on this web part that says registrant is equal to me. And then the good thing about having these time fields brought across is that I can also do a filter on my registrations to say only show events where start time is greater than or equal to today, or something like that. So that helps me with my filters and views with the My Registrations view. All right, so let me go show you what the other workflow looks like. Go to the Sign Up Someone Else. And this is the one that I put initiation form parameters on. So all I did here was go to initiation form parameters, and I clicked add, and I added a people field. So it's a person or group field. And I said, well, just make it people only, all users, and make it required. So I uncheck the allow blank. So all it is asking them for a person's name. And then it's putting, I'm setting my variable, because again, I have to check to see if that person exists yet. So I'm concatenating together the ID of this item with the person's name that they're registering, and I'm making it as a login name, so it's always going to be this unique string of blah, 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 contoso.username kind of thing. Then I'm just logging it so I can see that when I'm troubleshooting. Then I'm going to say, well, if the title of any of the items over in the registrations equals this little variable that I created with that ID and that person, then say this person's already registered. Otherwise, create item in registrations. And this is where I'm putting the registrant is that parameter. So under workflow variables and parameters, that who are you registering box that I created up here in the initiation form parameters, that is what I'm putting in the registrant field. And I'm concatenating together the ID and the who are you registering as the title. I mean, I know I'm going kind of fast, but I know that this is being recorded and people could ask, people could hit pause and things like that when they're going through it later. All right, so those are the two workflows. So the issue that I came across was that, first of all, let's start looking at permissions here. So I've got site permissions. All right, so the first thing that I did was I said, I've got this group of RTM members. This is just everybody in the whole company. And I just wanted to give them read access at the site so that I could just give them really the only thing they should be the only content they should actually be adding to the site is that one little item in the registration list, right? You would think you'd be able to do that. So I thought that I could give RTM members read access at the site level and then give them just contribute in that one list. But it made me give them contribute. I was getting errors if they didn't have it. So I kind of narrowed it down to that. Also, let me show you an issue here. So I put Jennifer Mason in here just kind of by herself as an individual user, even though I know she's also in this group. This is the whole company. But I put her in here individually. Now let me show you something. So Charlotte, that I'm about to log in as, is under RTM members, which is a SharePoint group and has contribute. And let's go look at the other permissions we put in here. Under events, did I give it different permissions? No, it's just inheriting. And then registrations, this has unique permissions. So what I did was, let me see, Jennifer Mason contribute, RTM members contribute. Yeah, it's the same exact. Yeah, it's the same exact thing as I had. But the trick here is that in the registrations, I don't want them messing with other people's registrations. So here's what I did. I went into the registration list, and even though they have contribute access, I went into the advanced settings. Y'all don't forget about this setting. It's been around for years and years, but it's just something we forget about sometimes. Create items and edit items that were created by the user. This means that someone can only go in there and delete stuff or edit stuff that they created. So when I'm logged in if I'm logged in as some regular end user and I go look at a meeting here, I don't want them to be able to go click somebody else's name and delete it. But if they register themselves, then they can delete it. The only problem I can think of with this is if someone else registers you, then you still wouldn't be able to delete it because you didn't create it. But I couldn't really think of a super simple way around that. But okay, and then the next problem was that for the workflow, for anyone to be able to manually kick off a workflow at all, they have to be able to have contribute access on the list where the workflow is. We don't necessarily need them editing the events though, right? I mean, so here's what I did. I went into the events list and I said, well, let's just go ahead and add another layer here. So I went into the events list, and in the versioning settings page, I turned on content approval. That way, regular end users, even if they do accidentally edit something on that item, it's not going to actually show their changes to anyone else on that page. It's just going to show as like pending. Every time somebody runs a workflow, it does show it as the item pending and needing approval, but it doesn't seem like you'd have to keep going in and doing that because, again, technically they're not changing anything. They're just running the workflow. So when I go in here and look at the versions, I go look at testing event here and go look at the version history. See, it's just when I run sign up someone else, it's just putting that as metadata that I changed, unfortunately. So it's just saying that that's version number 3, which is kind of dumb. So that was just an extra layer I added in there. So even if somebody goes in and modifies something they're not supposed to, that change is not going to be applied to that item. All right, so the next thing I did is the sign up someone else box. I don't want everybody to see that. I only want certain people to be able to see that. So what I did was I can go to the events list and I can go, well, let me go with logged in as Charlotte and show you what that looks like. So I'm logged in as Charlotte and I go to the events list and see, I only see sign up here. I don't see the sign up someone else. So how did I do that? All right, so no questions so far. You guys let me know. I'm just going to keep rambling. How do you make it only let certain people do that? So that is going to be that those buttons that I created, and we've actually gone over this. We have a whole power hour just centered around these quick steps, which are also called custom actions. So these are all custom actions. So, remember the little error I got when I ran a workflow from the list item menu, but I didn't get an error when I ran it from the list item? Maybe I could just remove the sign up box from the list item menu. That would be my workaround for that. But so here's how I did that. All right, so it says rights mask. So not for the sign up one, but for the sign up someone else. Rights mask is going to be what's the name of the type of permission that the person is going to have. And there's a whole kind of list online. I think Jaffarowski, I don't know if one of y'all can pull that up somehow. I think I found it the other day, but Geoffferosky. Do y'all know him? Anyway, he has a blog post that lists all those out.
I think I put this one in the comments of the quick actions video.
Oh, okay.
I think cool. that link, but I'll check it out. Okay.
So I'm going to back up through this and show you how I built this out to, to specify who has the ability to see that button. So I have what I did was I went into I wanted to create a custom permission level because I wanted people to be able to have I didn't want to give a whole bunch of people full control or anything, but I wanted people kind of have the least amount that they would need to have to be able to see this button. So I went into site permissions and I went all the way up to, I went to permission levels, and with permission levels, I took the contribute permission level and I hit copy. And so you just go to a permission level and you just say, you don't want to edit the default ones. And let me go back up. Let me go up to the root level. It doesn't let you do anything with them at the subsite level. All right, here we go. So I went to contribute and I just hit the copy permission level button down here because I wanted to create this event admin level. So let's see, HR events. All I did, the only thing I changed between contribute and this level was I checked this box, discard or check in a document which is checked out to another user, change or override settings that allow users to read or edit only their own items. So this would allow people to, these are the people that I want to be able to, if I have the event list itself and I wanted people to be able to only edit their own items, I could also have that as, like I did the setting in the registrants list, but unfortunately doing that is not possible because people need to be able to have contribute access on any event that they need to be able to register for. So this is just called override list behaviors, but this is the one that's also the permissions mask for this is called, I think it was, like I showed you, cancel checkout. Let me show you. Cancel checkout. So there is nothing in here that's called cancel checkout. It's just discard something that's when it's checked out. So kind of in the description it says that it's canceled checkout. It's a little weird. So all I did was check this box basically to have this event admin level. And then that way, that's just kind of me defining, who's going to be able to see that button. So then from there, I would need to go back to my site. And so I need to have that permission level on this list because right now, I have full control. I can do everything. So of course I can see that other button, but I want to have a special group of people that I allow to use that button in here. I'm going to say any managers in the company can have that button. They can register other people. So I'm going to go to the list settings and go to permissions and stop inheriting. And I'm going to put the managers, Contoso managers. And I don't want to give them edit permission. I want to give them event admin permission here. So whoever's going to be in Contoso managers now, when they go, this is Brittany, Laura, and Ryan. Hey Ryan, you're a manager. Congratulations. Whoever is a manager is going to be able to go to that list now and see the sign up for other people button.
We have a question.
Okay, custom actions doesn't look familiar. Is that only in 2013? No, that came out in 2010. And we did a whole other quick steps is what it's also called. We did a whole other power hour about that, Stacy. All right, so let me see. Now I'm going to log in as, let's see, Ryan Keller. Sorry for the loud keyboard. This is on my VM, Ryan. Nobody knows that your password is pass@word1.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
All right. So Ryan, now you're a manager. So when you go to event, where you go click on an event, you have the button that says sign up someone else. And when I go and log in as Charlotte, she doesn't have it. So that's how I did those two different things. So let's see what happens when. Let's see if Ryan is allowed to sign up someone else. Actually, I'm going to put somebody else. I'm going to put Todd in here. I don't think I've used him yet in here, so let's see if this works. I don't think it's going to, but we'll see. Which one did I go into? Another meeting? Which meeting did I go into? Damn it. Keep forgetting. Whichever one I went into, it didn't add him. Nobody was paying attention, huh? Okay, let me see. Workflows. Sign up someone else. That's not today. Testing event. Sign up someone else. 11:16. No. Golly. Only got 4 things in here. Workflows. I'm trying to see when this thing ran. Aha. So there's sign up. That one's suspended. So who ran that one? Okay, that's the one that I ran. So this is kind of what I was coming across last night when I was doing a lot of this testing. I'm going to go ahead and kill this one and kind of show you some of the stuff that I discovered. So that one was weekend fun. So once someone else tries to run it and it errors out, it's just sitting there as errored out. And so I'm going to have to go in there and kill it. So other times that I was trying to run this workflow, it was, giving me an issue because it was already running in a suspended state. All right, so now I'm logged in as, I know this is confusing with all the logged in as stuff. I've only got 3 going on. So weekend fun. Ryan is going to try and register Todd for weekend fun. And let's see if that works. So how do I know? First of all, it's not going to show under my registrations. It should show under here if it actually worked. What I'm finding, though, is that, and here's what I found, is that it's doing this retry thing. And I found that when I get this error, it's because Ryan's trying to run this workflow, and Ryan does not have individual permissions at the top level of this site, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. And I'm really aggravated about it. Stupid SharePoint. I can see y'all all cracking up. So watch this. So when I go grant Ryan, I'm going to give him permission, just contribute level at this top level of the site. Where did I put him? I think it put him in a group when I did that just now. Ryan. I hate it when it does that. He was already in RTM members. I'm just going to explicitly give him contribute level right here at the top level of the site. And then I'm going to go kill that workflow. And what was it called? Weekend Fun? I'm going to go kill the workflow and try again and see if that did the trick. So he has explicit permissions at the top level. Now let's go look at what he has. I didn't realize this was going to be such a test of permissions when I started building the solution out, but it's what it ended up being. But I think it's great to know all this stuff. Like, I totally need to write a blog post about this. Okay, so Ryan has been given explicit contribute permissions at the site level, but not on this list level. He is in the managers group, though, so let's see what happens. All right, so I'm going to go run. And again, this is what I was doing for like 3 hours last night and drove me insane. Okay, weekend fun. I did go kill that workflow, didn't I? Right? Anyone know?
I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, logged in as Ryan, weekend fun. Sign up someone else. Just going to sign up Todd. And again, it really doesn't matter which of these workflows he's running. The problem was that if he wasn't explicitly listed at the top level, it wasn't letting them run it. Okay, so, all right, so he was, let's go see what it's doing. Started and retrying. So let's go, so the next step, what is the next testing step? It's kind of logical here. To add him where? Events. I'm going to do the same thing. So remember, I just pointed out that I had added him explicitly at the site level, but not explicitly here at the list level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Ryan in here, given the event admin. That's just so he can see that other button, really. So now he's individually listed here in the events list. I hope that this is wrong. I mean, I tested it for hours last night, and I hope this is wrong because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So if any of you out there are seeing any of this behavior or not seeing this behavior, I'd really be interested to know. Let me go kill this other workflow before I start it again. I'd really be interested to know. I hope that I'm wrong. So you guys, if you test this and you find that you're not finding the same problems with it, that would be awesome. So let me know in the comments, or let me know, put a comment on the YouTube or something like that. Okay, so weekend fun, I killed the workflow. I'm going to go back in and log in as, make sure I refresh the page, I'm logged in as Ryan. I'm going to go to weekend fun, sign up someone else, sign up Todd. I'm going to try a different person. Let's see, I'm going to try just for fun. Okay, weekend fun. Let's go see what happened. Started. Gotta love this little information thing. And now I get an error again. Nice. No idea. Well, I did find a pattern last night when I was doing this, because I kept trying things over and over again, and I thought I found a pattern in that when I put them explicitly in the site, that it would work. So the next thing, one more thing to try before I kind of go into kind of other ways to do the solution, is going to be making this list so that it inherits permissions from the parent level. Anything else y'all can think of that might affect that?
There's a comment from Carlos Montilla in the Q&A section. He says, I set up a permission level, contribute with no delete, and enabled versioning to manage any possible changes to the classes list. And then I was going to say, so is this the permission to the list? What happens if you add the managers group to this? Instead of explicitly adding Ryan, the managers group that Ryan is part of, if you add him to this.
If I add him to, that's what I did a second ago, to the events list.
And what is this? Is
so Carlos says he set a permission level called contribute no delete, enabled versioning. That makes sense, but Carlos, the thing I'm troubleshooting right now is the workflow not running. So I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying with the contribute no delete, because we don't want random people deleting that. That makes total sense. But I don't think it could possibly play into what we're looking at here, but I don't think it does. Okay, so I inherited permissions now from the events to, from the whole site level to the events list. And now, let's look at this one more time. I'm even going to go create a new event in here, just so it's like we're starting clean and we're not registering for the same thing over and over. Okay, so Ryan's in here individually, Jennifer's in here individually, and Charlotte's in the RTM members group. And they all have contribute permission level. All right, and then I'm going to log in as, first of all, as me, Laura. I'm just going to go create a new event. Okay. And then I need to address the whole thing of, like how you'd have like maximum registrants and that kind of thing. All right, so approval status is pending. I created it. I need to approve it so other people can at least see it. All right, so now Thursday Fun is in there, and it's everybody can see it and register for it. And those other people Ryan has contribute access at the site level, inherited at the event level, and it's also inherited on the my registration list. You can just only edit and delete events that you created on the my registration list. All right, so I'm going to go to Thursday Fun, and Ryan's going to sign up. Notice that now that he only has contribute, he doesn't have the sign up someone else button. Look at that. So that worked. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but that's very frustrating that you have to go to all that trouble. And basically, it looks like with the events list, even if the permissions were set similarly to the site level, if it wasn't inheriting, because I had added that other manager list, it wasn't inheriting, so I got workflow errors. It's very odd. I'm going to have to go through methodically and make notes step by step so that I can really figure out what it's doing and when, but I think we've got a good handle on it. It has to do with people listed individually at the site level and lists having to inherit permissions, which is really dumb, again. All right, so how would we do a max number of registrants? So you guys, again, ask me any questions if you have them as I move on. All right, so I'm going to go to events, and I'm just going to create a new field in here called max registrants. Just go to max. That's going to be a number. Let's see. 0 decimal places default to, I'm not going to default to anything, but I'll go ahead and make, you'd want it to be required, I guess. Okay. All right, so if I have maximum registrants, now if they go over the maximum registrants, then what's going to happen is the trick. So let's go look at our workflow. Okay, when they sign up, it's going to have to look at the number of people that are registered for this class. So how am I going to know how many people are registered for a class? There's this cool functionality in 2010 and 2013 that lets you do a reverse lookup. So I'm doing a lookup right now from the registration list to the event list to pick an event for each registrant. I can go backwards and I can say, I can call this registrants. And you make it a lookup, but then when you choose lookup, the trick here is to pick, so I'm going to pick the right list here, registrations, and then as soon as I pick registrations, count related. So in this column, count related. So all this stuff grays out. So all I want to do is in the event, again, I'm in the events list here, I want to see the number of registrants that are related to this event. So this is going to show it as a column. All right, so I can even go to my home page here and add that as a column. So I can say, go to my list view here. Just a little side note here, another kind of method that I've done this before that's not, it uses InfoPath, would be to have like a custom dashboard for each event, and then you have an InfoPath form web part on the page that that will basically have a parameter of what the event ID is passed to it, and that way you can see, you can automatically have it fill in with, like the current user's name, and then they would just have a register button. I was trying to avoid InfoPath in this case because, I did this even for a client recently with this super simple form that just has a button that says register, and people are getting browser issues. So I don't want to steer you guys towards InfoPath. Look how cool, look at this, registrants. So it's got, it's showing me how many people are registered for each of these just using the lookups. So this is something I can use in my workflow, right? Pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to refresh my workflow so it will know that I added a new column. So I have to see, so first of all, this is the one that looks to see if they already exist. And if they don't, then I need to see if, I also need to see if the maximum number of registrants has been reached yet. So if I can probably do it within the same if statement, or if I want to have really detailed logging and know exactly what happened, then I can just bury it inside of this other one. I'm just going to do if inside of here, if max value, current item max is less than the registrants. Right? It's less than registrants. Then is that good or bad? If the maximum is less than registrants, then that's when we don't want to create an item, right? Am I getting my logic backwards?
Yeah, I mean, if it's less than a certain number, you want to continue. If it's more than a certain number, you don't.
So the max number that we can have, let's say we can have like 10 people in the class, that's less than the actual number of people that are registered. Okay, then I'm going to say equals. If it's equal, less than or equal to, then you could say it's already full, because you're already going to have the numbers in there. So the numbers that are in there, the max and the number of people that are already registered, is not counting this person that's registering.
Wouldn't it be greater than or equal to, though?
Okay, that's what I was asking, because I don't,
Yeah.
my brain. So, does that make sense, guys? Shout it out in the chat window if we're getting our logic backwards. Okay, if max is greater than or equal to the current number of registrants, no, because the max is the maximum number they can have, like in that conference room, like it will seat 10 people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Is less than.
Yes. I was not looking at the variable name, and I was just thinking strictly the number of people in there.
Yeah,
has to be less than.
Okay, so got my logging. All right. So now you guys in the chat window, when you signed up for this, you were probably looking for something specific, like some specific problem you're trying to tackle, or you built this site before and you went a certain direction, and then maybe you hit a roadblock. Or you guys let me know kind of the way you guys are doing it, so I can start maybe addressing some of those other methods, like passing parameters to web parts and all these other ways that you could do it, and kind of stuff that you might come across. All right, we got 10 minutes left. So that's how you're going to do the registrants, to be able to say class already full. The problem with this workflow method is that they're going to click to sign up for it, and they're not going to, you'd have to send them an email to say, sorry, but the class is already full. So you're going to have, hopefully you can have like a visual way of saying that the class is already full, right? So it would be nice if you could like not have this button here if the maximum number of registrants is equal to the number of registrants, right? But so that would take doing a whole different method of doing the solution in a different way. Like you'd have to have just a custom hyperlink or something on your form that you'd have to hide according to a certain condition, right? And that's when it starts getting really hairy. So the super simplest way is just to send them an email just from that workflow saying, sorry, but the class is full. All right, so let's go into kind of what it would look like to have this sort of dashboard concept just real quick. I'm not going to be able to complete that out, but at least kind of have that partially built so we can see. So I'm going to go into, let's see if I have a library in here yet, and create like a little dashboard. I want to create a web part page because basically I can't stand wiki pages. I can't stand dealing with them. So I'm going to do add an app and do document library. I'm going to call it dashboards. That way if you have multiple ones you could put them all in there. Oops. And of course I have to do it again. Web part page. Now when I'm in this library and I go new document, it creates me a new web part page. That dashboard. So what I would do here is I would have an event here. I would have a single event. So the way I would do that is just change my view here. And that's one of the things I haven't necessarily done anything. Showed you kind of all the tricks you could do with views, but basically the registrations list is going to allow you to have like a my registrations view because it's going to have their name in the registrant field, and it's also going to allow you to do filters based on dates, like only show, you could have a view that has past events that you registered for, a view that has only upcoming events. You can do all that stuff with having those dates that are getting pulled across in that lookup. So current workspace title. Let's see. I'm going to keep this super simple, and I just want it to show one thing. Oh, Stacy says, I was stuck at a party sign up and what items are needed and what items people have signed up to bring so we don't get 20 people bringing potato chips. Think I can use a reverse lookup with a max item field. Yeah, cool, awesome. Somebody learned something from me. Cool. Okay, so then we can have, so this would be the event dashboard, so it would also need to have the registrants on here, and I'm just going to add that as a web part to the same zone. And then just drag this back up here. Okay, and then we're going to have to filter this stuff. So this, obviously, this registrations web part is very ugly. Let me go edit kind of what it's showing in here to narrow it down a whole bunch. All I really need to see is the registrant name, because we already see what event it is, right? Okay, and then I wouldn't want to see the new item and all that, so I could change the toolbar to no toolbar. And then here's where I do my query string web part, filter web part, which I love, is very useful. I have 5 more minutes. Okay. If I was on a wiki page, the query string URL filter would have just disappeared when I put it on the page. So my query string is going to be event, and then click OK. So it's going to be a number. It's going to be an ID, and I'm going to pass that number from the URL that I go to these web parts on the page. So this is similar, Joelle, and guys, this is similar to other stuff we've demoed before, like we've done maybe like a project one before, and what else? Similar kind of concepts here, right, with this dashboard concept. The new hire thing, we did that, right? Send filter value to registrations. My registration, just like I did in the new hire dashboard, I had that lookup ID that I brought over with the lookup field to the event. So that's very helpful doing my connections here. So then I would create, just like I did in the new hire dashboard, I would create a link that would take you to like whatever the event is. So event equals 4. I don't know which event that is. Question mark event equals 4. Do I not have an event? Oh, I've deleted a lot of these as I've tested it in the past. Here, so there we go. So that one's called another meeting, and it shows me who's registered for it. So then another fun way of doing this would be on this page itself, you would have a form that would be where you would put just an empty form to register for the event right here on this page. And so that could be an InfoPath form, or that could be a if you get all crazy with SharePoint Designer and go into the code view and do that. But basically, this event ID is the key here, because that's what you would be passing as a parameter to know specifically what event they're registering for, to be able to put that in the lookup field. Any questions? We're going to wrap it up. Let's see. I've got. I'm going to go to our YouTube channel real quick and show you. If y'all go to SharePoint RAX and go to our, no, not this one. If you go to our list of videos here and go to where it says events, this is where you can see our upcoming events here. So the next one is going to be Ryan doing custom branding. Joelle and I are going to be doing this project site roll-ups thing. And I think Steven is going to have like more versions of his search center thing too. And then Tavis, I don't know, you were talking about doing KPIs or something at some point maybe, but that's our next 3. So let me go ahead and stop sharing. Any questions, anybody? Awesome. We trickled down from 20 to 11, so that must not have been sufficient solution for people with their event signups. It's all out of the box, right? It's all just this is what you get with SharePoint. This is what forms look like. They're very ugly, and it's kind of clunky to get around in, and so it's kind of disappointing, right? At a client just yesterday, they created a bunch of InfoPath forms and said, can we go publish these to SharePoint? I'm like, yeah, but you might have browser issues, and InfoPath's kind of going away, and and it's just really super simple forms with just a simple amount of fields and nothing complex about them at all that could just be regular old lists, just regular old forms out of the box. But they're like, that's not going to do. That is not sufficient. They have to have, the forms have to look a certain way with these certain colors and this. I know. The out-of-the-box ones are ugly. So the out-of-the-box event sign-up solution is ugly. But it would take hours and hours to tweak something like that, right? And make it look polished and pretty and make all the views look pretty and make it look super user-friendly and have people not see things when they're not supposed to see them, right? Like those buttons when the class is full, etc.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, right? To behind the scenes to make stuff really to that point where you have that perfect user interface.
Do you see any big difference in the back end with the workflows between 2013 and 2010 for something like this?
That's what I tried actually. I went into and I created a 2010 workflow in my 2013 site and tried to do the exact same thing. But with the permissions and all that, I came across the exact same problems. I had to give them contribute permission at the site level. I had to give them contribute permission at the list level. I thought I might see some differences in the behavior with the 2010 workflow, but it was kind of just as much of a pain.
I'm kind of curious if the publishing features would change that too.
Oh, how would?
Like if you turned off the publishing features, I found that the publishing features create a lot more like interdependencies in how things work. So like you think like, oh, I just need access to this and this, but because of the publishing features underneath, you actually need access to other things in the site.
Oh, that's interesting, Stephen. I'll have to make that part of my testing when I go through methodically figure this out. So awesome. All right. Thanks everybody for coming, and we will see you next week on SharePoint Power Hour. Over and out.